What's going on, guys? It's the Big Rig Bull Texas truck accident lawyer Reshard Alexander here today in the office on a Monday fun day. Mondays are always a good time to get started on a new topic. So today we're going to get started on a deep dive into hazardous materials, shipping and transportation. I know I covered it before, but I think I'd like to go a bit deeper into shipping information and on the road issues, loading and unloading of hazardous materials. So we're going to try to cover all that stuff in the next few weeks. All right, how does that sound? I love talking about trucks. It's awesome. It's an awesome area, and I love the fact that it is something that is necessary for America to thrive. I think there has to be more done by these politicians out here other than lip service to establish a much more well-rounded infrastructure for goods and transportation of people, because the ability to be able to move freely through our country is really what can alleviate to a large extent poverty or lessen it in certain aspects, simply because of the fact that if you come from a place that has a very weak infrastructure, it's going to be very hard for you to get out of there. It's going to be very hard for you to make a move to a place that is much more profitable or easier time to manage for you to move up in this world. I noticed, and I'm pretty sure most people who have lived in the South or people who have traveled the U.S. have noticed that there are certain places, in the U.S. where the lack of transportation is, I think, a lot of times what holds people back from really truly progressing in their lives, especially in the South, the Southeast. The way that things are structured, we just don't have the built-in infrastructure the same as if you go to a northern city, where you can ride the L, you can ride the subway. Most people commute through public transportation to get where they're going and back. Whereas if you live in the South, you have to have a car, you have to have some means where you have the onus is placed on you to get yourself around. And I'm not going to say it's unfair, but certainly it can be a bit burdensome to be in that type of situation where you are attempting to make something of yourself, and you need to find a job, or you need to take your child to the doctor, and you get on the bus, and the bus takes an hour to get you where you need to go, and then an hour back. And a lot of times that is, well, at least when I was growing up, that is being hopeful on the light side of things, because a lot of times it would take someone 2 hours or hour and a half to get somewhere. So if they were going to do a job interview, if you have a car in the South, you can hit up 3-4 interviews in a day. If you're riding the bus, you may only be able to go to one interview. So I think all of that fits together with trucking, and the fact that we have to do more to make things manageable for transportation, because it is so vital, it is so important just to the welfare of our nation. And if we don't start doing something, I don't know how we are going to be the superpower of the future when you look at all the people that we have to compete against, and the fact that they're willing to spend really big amounts of money to build transportation. It's just so important. I get the fact that people complain and they argue about other things, services and whatnot. I don't really care about all that. But when it comes to transportation, transportation is just simply absolutely essential to give everyone the ability to make the best of themselves. That's really what it's about, because we live in a country where you want to believe that everyone has the ability to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, and to some degree that may be true, but definitely some bootstraps are harder to tie than others. or some are hard to pull together than others. So, I just think that transportation is one way that we can help everyone. Sorry about the ramble. Now back to your board session. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today you're talking to the Big Rig Bull Texas truck accident lawyer Reshard Alexander, obviously. But today we are going a little bit more in depth regarding hazardous materials compliance. I went back over that vlog I did a while ago, and I just felt that it wasn't as deep as I wanted to really go into the subject. And so today, and probably for the next 2 weeks approximately, I'm going to just deep dive into hazardous materials, regulations, definitions, compliance, all of it. Very interesting topic, very timely topic, given the truck wrecks that we have experienced recently in Houston and in the great state of Texas. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the subject. So, hazardous materials regulation, hazardous materials regulations history is basically starts with the Transportation Safety Act of 1974. As we progress in this nation and we start to take environmental regulations much more seriously, as there are more environmental catastrophes that take place in our nation. We consolidate the HMRs in 1976, and then we eventually move to the point of creating the Hazardous Materials Transportation Uniform Safety Act of 1990. Following this act, there are a series of amendments that take place, but this is generally what regulates trucking for hazmat truckers across the nation. Motor carriers are subject to both the hazardous materials regulations and the motor carrier safety regulations. These can be found in 49 CFR parts 100 through 107, 109, 110, 130, 171 through 180, and 390 through 397, which we should all be familiar with at this point. When we're talking about hazardous materials regulations, as far as the penalties, I've written the penalties out here. Violating a regulation can equal a penalty of not more than $78,376 for each violation. Violations resulting in death, serious injury, or substantial destruction of property, the maximum penalty is $182,877. Now that's not including the lawsuit that a motor carrier is going to face. This is just the regulations and the fines dealing with the governing agency federally. There's no minimum penalty except if the violation is related to training. Then the minimum penalty is $471. Continuing violations, something that happens, daily over a period of time, are considered separate violations, and you are basically fined per day. Moving right along, we're talking again about passenger carrying vehicles, but in this context, we are talking about hazmat materials being present on passenger carrying vehicles. Now, generally speaking, no hazardous materials should be transported by for-hire passenger vehicles if possible. I think at this point in time, we all know what for-hire passenger vehicles are. Division 6.1, which is poisonous hazmat materials, or Division 2.3, which is poisonous gas, liquids, or any, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this word right, but it's paratrenelin, I don't know, I'm not a science guy, may not be hauled in passenger vehicles. So whatever this word is right here, I think it's paranitronelin, may be hauled in passenger, may not be hauled in passenger vehicles. Those cannot be hauled in passenger vehicles. However, there are certain quantities of some types of hazardous materials that may be hauled in passenger vehicles. And generally speaking, any hazardous material with the exception of small arms and ammunition hauled on a passenger carrying vehicle must be hauled outside of the passenger compartment. This is common sense, it makes sense. The exceptions for what may be hauled are up to 99 pounds gross weight of Class 1 explosives that are permitted to be transported by a passenger carrying aircraft or rail car. Not more than 100 detonators, Division 1.4 explosives per vehicle. Not more than 2 lab samples of Class 1 explosives per vehicle. Not more than 496 pounds of other types of hazardous materials with no more than 99 pounds of any class. A cylinder not exceeding 250 pounds that is secured against movement. Not more than 99 pounds of any non-liquid Division 6.1 poisonous materials. Class 7 radioactive materials requiring labels. Emergency shipments of drugs, chemicals, and hospital supplies. And Department of Defense materials under special circumstances. So like I said, this wraps up part 1, or the beginning of our in-depth look at hazardous materials compliance. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you again tomorrow. This is the Big Rig Bull, and I'm out of here.